All right, let me do a little introduction. Dear friends, near and far, happy Monday, everyone. Lana Rodriguez here out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, your new moderator, LabCoatAgents' #1 platform in the world, real estate related. And today, I'm so excited. We have a fantastic guest joining us, Mr. Dan Ihara out of beautiful Hawaii. Dan, sir, how are you?
How's it, everybody? Aloha!
Aloha! Love it, love it. So, little background about Mr. Dan. Dan is part of our Keller Williams family. In last year, his mighty team did $93 million. Is it right, sir? $93 million?
$93 million, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I bet now we got people's attention because we're going to want to learn from you. And Mr. Dan is a CEO and founder of the Ihara team. And sir, do you service everywhere in Hawaii, all five states, or all five islands?
We have 8 islands, and we live and work on Oahu. We also have a team on Maui and Kauai, as well as the Big Island. So that's where most of the transactions happen. So yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions or anything that you need regarding Hawaii, just give us a call.
All right, friends, for all of you watching, this is your new referral partner in Hawaii. Let's add it onto our list. And friends, today we're gonna have a very specific topic to discuss, how to dominate senior market. I'm personally very excited. I have my notebook here prepared to take notes from Mr. Dan. And Dan, as we dive into this fantastic topic, will you please just tell us who you are? How did you even start in real estate?
So born here in Hawaii. My father was a colonel in the Army, traveled around the country and the world quite a bit for 10 years, came back, went to school here, and got into real estate 15 years ago. Did really well in the beginning. After my second year as being a licensed realtor, I got in what we call the top 100, which is the top 100 out of 7,000 agents, and kept growing every year over year to where we are today. Right now we have a team of 32 here on the island, and we have a number of other ancillary businesses. We built a model called the Complete Solution, and this is what Gary actually got really interested in when he interviewed me on stage at Mega Camp many years ago, is how do we build a business around this demographic, right? So one of the things that really Gary Keller really thought was very interesting is it's basically a recession-proof industry, right? Because everyone's gonna leave their home at some point, everyone's gonna pass away at some point, right? And so regardless of the economy, regardless of a pandemic, these things, life changes will always happen. It's inevitable. So how do you build a solution around serving a problem that this demographic has, right? And so understanding it was really important. I started out just picking up the phone, dialing folks, everybody I knew, working every open house I could, started building a business. And then my brother, who does reverse mortgages, said, hey, you got to go to speak and share what value you can bring. And he's an older brother, so I really didn't want to listen to him, right? But I did, thank goodness, right? And so we started doing seminars. And so 6 months into being a realtor, I put out an ad in the newspaper, which I've done ever since, basically committed $24,000 a year for an article every 3 weeks, okay? Right now it's every 3 weeks. So I get to write an article in the newspaper about a concept that where people have problems and we bring a solution to them. Right? So we started doing that. I did my very first seminar 6 months into becoming a realtor, and I couldn't believe that I could fill the room. People showed up. Got my very first listing, $1.2 million listing, and I was completely blown away by the impact that we could have to this demographic. Right? So whether the market's great or it's not great, you know, these people will always have a life challenge. And by the way, they always have family. And by the way, they always have trusted advisors, right? Financial planners, wills and trust attorneys, right? CPAs, private bankers. So what we built is a model around how do you capture listings and provide a higher level of service to a demographic that needs help. They don't need a realtor, they need help. They need a consultant. They need to know what to do with their home. They need to have a strategy what to do with their investment properties. And that's kind of what we built. Over the years, we've built a very robust system. I've done over probably 1,500 seminars and webinars over the last 15 years. And we used to do them, you know, once a month. Now, in the month of May, we did 2 a week webinars. They're on our Facebook page. If anybody's interested, it's free. they can go ahead and just check it out, see what information might be good for their market. Okay.
And Dan, will you please share your Facebook page? So for our audience who maybe have to leave a little early, they want to connect with you and follow your journey, what is it?
Ihara Team Hawaii.
Okay, perfect. Ihara Team Hawaii.
And our website's iharateamhawaii.kw.com.
Okay,
both of them house all of our webinars and our training.
And it's completely free for public.
Completely free for the public.
Wow, this is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I came to Keller Williams, this was 6 years ago, we built a market center here in Honolulu. There was never one here. And then I get a call from Gary, and he wanted to talk to me about the model. We go to Mega Camp. I'm totally blown away about how big this company is and by an amazing leader that we have. And he really dove into the questions of what is successful. And he helped me self-discover there are things that I could do that actually would supersize it, right? So when we met Gary, we did about $32 million of business. And now we're at $93 million of business.
Wow, this is fantastic.
For time period. So it's a model that now is just built referral. It's a model that we've become a consultant, not a realtor.
Okay, and does this particular model, do you coach all your agents? Because you mentioned you have 32 agents on your team. Are they in your mission? Are they see your vision and also do the same thing with their clients in their sphere?
Yeah. So no, just to be clear, I don't have 32 agents. There's 32 people on our team. Most of them are assistants, right? We have 12 virtual assistants because our model, unlike what Gary's recommending it being prospecting-based, marketing enhanced, we actually had it the other way around. We're marketing-based, prospecting. But we built a moat around our business because we have more information than anybody else. Right? So at this point, it's really hard to penetrate that market, right? Because there's not that many people that, I don't think there's anybody that knows as much as we do regarding how to service this industry, regarding their primary residence and their investment properties. And how do you create a generational wealth with your real estate?
Of course.
Yeah.
Have you thought of franchising possible idea to multiple market centers across US?
Yes, we have. And yes, we are. Yeah. So we're starting with a coaching program. So we can train people how to do this. We have just a handful of clients now that we coach through the Complete Solution, of which they get all of our presentations, they get all of our forms, they get all of our systems to build a moat that big in their market very quickly. I mean, it took me years to build it, and they can build it in months now.
Okay. Well, you already have a raving fan here in Colorado. So whenever you're ready to talk, let's talk.
Yeah.
But then let's go ahead and dive into our topic, because I know it's going to be a topic new to me, dominate senior market. How does one who's completely not doing that can get their feet wet with this particular item?
Well, I think first you have to understand it, right? So why is the senior market so important? Well, it's because the seniors have assets, real estate assets. I mean, if you're looking for a listing, odds are that these people have purchased their property many, many years ago. Many, many years ago. They have like 100% equity. Almost all of them have no balance on it, right? It's not like they bought it 3 years ago. They bought it 30, 60 years ago. It's been paid off for many, many years. Right? So one, they have wealthy real estate. Two, they have a lot of equity. And three, at some point, they're going to pass on. Right? And what happens there? Well, we're seeing now the greatest transition of wealth ever in American history. What's happened is, so I'm on the lower end. I'm 57, so I'm 56 is the bottom of the baby boomers. Okay, when you get up to the 74, and that generation, those folks are passing away, and they're passing it down to the baby boomer generation. Right. So we're seeing a very large transition of wealth. Right. Pay attention to, because what happens when somebody passes away? Well, likely they're going to have to do something with the real estate. Who are they going to call for that? What are the best solutions, right? What are the solutions? What are the options? How do I do that? How do I split a property, right? Well, obviously you can't, right? And so we create systems and a coaching program for them such that we can create generational wealth. The other thing is the seniors, their homes appreciated immensely. I mean, I got to tell you, on average, if I asked 100 of my older clients how much you paid for the property, they said, anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000.
Mm-hmm.
What is it worth today? About $1 million, $1.2 million on average. Okay, so they've got huge equity there. Right? Do they need the money? No, they don't need the money. But the problem is the house doesn't fit them well anymore. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They have stairs. It's too big. It's falling apart. And so all of these are the challenges that they're facing. They're lonely. It's not safe. So what are the solutions? Well, they need somebody that can come alongside of them and kind of coach them through understanding what the pain points are, but also what are the solutions to remove those pain points? How do I get into a better space? And so we built a whole model called senior living options. Okay, basically, if I'm an older adult, what are my options?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about that. We talk about your living environment. Where can you go? How much does it cost? What does life look like when you get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have clients in every one of them here in the islands. So we did expansion trial tests in the past where we went to a city, went to Pasadena, went to Whittier, went to Oregon, and we went into markets and everybody wanted to do business with us. Right? I just didn't find the right partner to partner with. Right?
Gotcha.
Because these communities, they still need to fill their occupancy. Right? If the sales director at these communities cannot fill their community up to at least 88% or more, they're not going to have a job. So they're desperately looking for help.
Yep.
And if we can provide a solution such that it attracts people there, that you can provide a solution making it easy for them to get in, easy for them to transition, then you're the solution that everyone's looking for. And that's what we ended up building. One of the biggest challenges for an older adult, first is like, where am I going to go? How am I going to feel about that? What are the emotions attached? Do I have enough money? Right? And so we built a robust system such that I studied every option, and we have it in a spreadsheet, and we say, basically, here are the first question is, what are you looking for? In your ideal world, what do you need? What do you want? And then we handpick the top 3, even take them on a tour. We'll let them have lunch. Now, this is pre-COVID.
Yeah, of
Can't
course.
do that right now, right? Although it will come back probably middle to end of COVID. But there's a lot of these communities growing now. So there's a whole industry of senior housing that's hitting the market because the baby boomers are the largest demographic transitioning to them, okay? And they're gonna need solutions. So every community we go into all over the country has communities that are coming up left and right. If you focus on it, you're gonna see them. And actually all you gotta do is Google your community and say senior communities, and you'll see them pop up all over. Every city I go to, I do the simple thing, and within 60 seconds, I can tell you how many there are in your community. I just came back from Georgia and Atlanta. Gosh, there were probably like 36 of them within a very small geographic area that you could just drive to. Everywhere you go, they're there because there's a lot of older adults.
Right.
And at some point, their house isn't going to fit them. So if somebody has stairs, right? Many homes today, upstairs, downstairs, you buy it, you have kids, but with the stairs, the bedrooms upstairs, what happens as we get older? Well, physically, knees, hips, right? Those are going to go. Vision, right? Hearing, balance. And those are the challenges that they're facing. And what we want to do is, number one, understand it. And we actually have gone through and teach a class about like old like me. Like, what does it feel like? How do you experience what they're experiencing? You see, because if you truly understand your client, what they're going through, then you'll empathize with them, you'll understand them, and they'll, guess what? They're going to like you because you do understand them. Right?
Of course.
Give you a quick example. You're taking somebody on a tour and they walk very slow. So if you walk side by side at their pace with them, they're going to appreciate that. If you walk ahead and you turn back and you say, like, come on, hurry up. Yeah, you're not going to be a good fit. Right? So little things matter. And we teach that in our classes because it's so important to understand this demographic. You know, the silent generations, everything's 75 and older. Okay. The baby boomer generation is, I think it's 56 to 74. That demographic, those two alone provide millions of homes that have full equity.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't provide the solution that they bought it for, meaning the housing, the lifestyle that they bought it for. Most of the time, it doesn't work for them any longer. Most of the time. And it could be physically, right? Meaning the stairs. But it also, most of the time now, it's more emotional. It's really hard to be alone, right? People want to be in community with others. People spiritually. I mean, if you look at a human being, the impact of being in their home, many of our clients, once a couple passes away, oftentimes we get a call. And the reason is they say, I can't stay here anymore. There's too many memories. I have to change my environment. And we have just two clients we're in escrow now that they're closing. One's a $2.6 million house. One's a $800,000 house that we actually closed, $900,000 house. And they said the same thing. I can't stay here anymore because my wife passed away 6 months ago. And it's too hard. It's too hard to wake up and see where she was. And so the emotional burden that we go through as human beings when our loved one for many, many years, I mean, you're talking 50, 60 years of marriage, how can you stay in the same environment? Well, that's why we get phone calls. Right? We get phone calls from the trusted advisors, financial planners, wills and trust attorneys, TPAs, older people with money go to say, I have a problem, I don't know what to do. Now, these trusted advisors, they're good in their field, but they're not specialists in housing. And so if you can get really, really good on what the options are, and get really, really good on how to get to that solution, you're going to stand out in the crowd. And that's what we're able to do. People know us from the industry, the gerontologists. Even the state and the city call us. The Office of Elderly Affairs, the Public Adult and Protective Services. Anybody that deals with older adults that have problems in the state, they call us because they know we have the solution. So that could be you, right? If you know this market so well, imagine the city and state government calling you to provide solutions for somebody who has trouble with that. Now, if you think of ownership, 77% of all these folks own real estate, up to 64. And after 64 and up, 65 and up, you're talking 82%. So odds are really good that these people own real estate and they've got a lot of equity.
Yeah. Wow. I really, now from listening to you and learning from you, I believe it's such an underlooked niche. Because us agents, and including myself, we like looking at the shiny syndrome object, VA loans, relocation buyer. But I'm just mind blown. But Dan, let me ask you this. So how do you start even prospecting these particular clients? Because they're ultimately not scrolling on Facebook and see your ad. They're like, let me use Dan. Like, how do you start reaching out to these people?
Well, you have to have a value proposition. Right. So everything starts in my world. You got to build a value proposition. So that's the honey that everyone is attracted to.
Yep.
So you can't just go knock on doors and say, hey, I have a senior real estate specialist designation. And what value does that bring? And it doesn't. Right. So first is understanding the solutions, which is really knowing what is their solution? Where can they go? Right. How much does it cost? What does that environment look like? What do they provide? Is it pet friendly? Do 3 meals a day? Do you have security? What if I need assistance? What are the different levels? So, I mean, you cannot master this market on the perimeter. You have to dive all the way in. It's all the way in or not. And that's why there's not much competition. Honestly, every city that I travel to, and I travel a lot, I haven't found anybody that has a model that's so robust. And it's really not that hard. So we have a couple of clients now that we're coaching through that. And some of them are on bigger teams that they have one person that's assigned to that. And we're coaching them through how to build this model. And the thing about this model is it's not like a FSBO. I can give you a name and a number. You call them, you turn it into money. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Right? It's going to take time. Right? It's really a long-term game plan. So if you're looking at the short term, I wouldn't even look at this market. go to FSBOs and withdrawals. But if you want to build a business that will last beyond you, a business that you can build with no competition. I don't know if you've read, Lana, the book Blue Ocean Strategies.
I heard of it, never read it, yeah.
Yeah, Blue Ocean Strategies is about businesses that they survive in a competitive environment with no competition. That's kind of what we've done. We've built it in a highly competitive environment in real estate. We don't have much competition, very little. And it's because we have solutions that others don't have. So to your point, the first step would be is gather information, right? In our coaching program, the first thing is make a list of all the communities, all the options, understand what they provide, their value proposition, their cost, right? Once you do that, now you have to be able to deliver that to people, right? And we do that in seminars and webinars, right? Because there are adult children that mom fell down in her house. They live in Tennessee. Mom's here, and they pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I'm in the hospital. I don't know what to do." What are they going to do? They're going to go online. They're going to try to find somebody who knows these solutions. So then they'll find you, right? Because you'll have those solutions. So step one again is building the value proposition, knowing all those things. Second step is delivering it in a way that's meaningful and acceptable to people that they want. They see you as a solution, right? And so one solution is actually, aging in place. A lot of folks say, well, I'm just going to age in place. And I said, great. What happens if you need care, right? And it's usually not what happens, is what happens when, when it's going to show up. It's not if, it's likely when, right? At some point in our lives, should we be blessed to live long enough, we're going to need some help. Everybody, we're all will, if we live long enough, right? And that's what's happening. Today's technology, medical advancements are so good, people are living longer than they ever had in the past. So our bodies are living longer, but what about our mind? And that's why memory care will be the largest need generation and then some, because they are living longer, and they're not, if they're living alone, that's not cerebral stimulation. So if you talk to a gerontologist, they're going to say that one of the reasons of success for older adults is what they eat, their diet, their exercise, and cerebral stimulation. So cerebral stimulation being that they're active mentally, right? They don't sit home and watch TV all day. And so some folks want to age in place. Then we say, well, if you want to age in place, then there's home care and home health care companies that can come into your home to provide that care. Now, I'm a realtor, right? You're a realtor. What if you met somebody and you had that conversation? Do they see you as a realtor anymore? No, they see you as a consultant. They see you as somebody that I should tell my friends about. They see you as someone that provides solutions, right? And so we talk about home care, which is basically taking care of what they call ADLs. So right, this ADLs is activities of daily living. The reason why that term is important is that's what long-term care insurance providers look at. Anytime you need 2 of the 6 ADLs, activities of daily living, which is bathing, dressing, grooming, toileting, continence, mobility, any of those things, if you need 2 of them, your long-term care insurance pays for that care up to its limits, right? And so understanding what the solution is, if they want to stay home, sure, you can stay home. You can bring these services in, and your long-term care insurance can pay for that. So understanding how that works matters. It makes you an expert, right? Then the next question is, well, if my home doesn't work for me, where do I go? Right? And then so you have that solution. But part of it is also really understanding why they do it. Right? If we can understand why an older adult leaves their home, then you can talk to it. You can speak to the hot buttons. For example, the environments, right? The stairs, the trip hazards. What happens when it's cold and they can't drive? For you, like in Colorado, when it's snowing, I'm 85 years old, right? I don't drive anymore. How do I get food? I mean, that's the most basic need, right? Air, water, and food.
Yep.
So how are you going to get that? It says, well, that's going to be a problem. Okay, so if you don't want that problem, here are some solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now,
Yep.
would you be interested? What if I talked to a guy the other day? Now, this is Hawaii. It's not cold, right? But he was in a hoarded house, and he says he gets Meals on Wheels. I asked him, how do you get your food? I say, I got these Meals on Wheels. Oh, that's awesome. You know, it's free. It's free. It comes out to his house. They knock on his door. They give it to him. So how do you like the food? Oh, I don't like it at all. So what about it? I said, it's cold. And
Yeah.
well, I don't like cold. So what if you could have hot meals served to your table in a retirement community? He's like, you went like this, and he went, really? He had this big smile on his face. Where can I do this? I said, well, let me help you. And so we got him down the path. So understanding the challenges matters, because then you can provide solutions. The mental health challenges as well. That's a problem, right? And then also the family challenges, the physical disputes. So that's another element that you'll have to understand is how do you deal. One of my first questions to the client is, tell me about your family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how often do you see them? Where do they live? You know, do they have any kids? See, because the more we can get into that person's mind and their heart, the easier it is to coach them down the road. Now, we're not talking about real estate, are we? We're talking about a human being's life, a lifestyle, somebody you care about. You want to impact their world. You know, we have a saying in our company, our job is to change lives. We're not selling real estate, we're changing lives. And how do we change lives? Through helping them through solutions that they have. The other question that we ask is, you know, does your home have too many steps? Is your home too large now that the kids are gone? You know, are you living alone and concerned about security?
Mm-hmm.
Is your home or yard too much work to maintain? Are you tired of cooking and cleaning? Would you like to make your own decisions about where and when your next move will be? Or would you like to let somebody else do that for you? And they go, well, what do you mean? So, well, know that at some point in your life, should you be blessed to live long enough, somebody may make that decision for you. Well, what do you mean? So, well, because if we don't have the mental capacity to do something, somebody else is going to help you. And that's typically going to be your family. So do you want to let somebody else make that decision for you? Or do you want to do that on your own while you're physically, mentally capable of making that decision? So what our goal is to help people be proactive, to empower them to make decisions before they're reacting. You know, one of the stories we say is like, you know, there's a fork in the road. You can either be proactive or reactive. There's only two types of clients, proactive or reactive. You know, the proactive person knows that they're getting forgetful, knows that they bang their car a few times, knows that the stairs are getting harder, knows that they're getting lonely. They know these things, and they're proactive. They're saying, well, this is going to get worse over time. And this is somebody that understands himself, and they're making these decisions on their own. To us, that's the hero. The other person is a reactive person. Okay, I'm okay. I'm really okay. Because what that person looks at is, this is how I used to be in the past. But they're not looking forward to, what am I going to do 5 years from now? If I have a hard time going up the stairs now, what's going to happen? They're not looking at that. They're looking at, I used to play tennis every day. So when was that? Oh, that was about 35 years ago. The future. And so a lot of that's just conversations around how do we help people self-discover that we really want to live. Now, there's an organization, right? There's an OPG, Office of Public Guardian. Every state has it in the state. Every state has it. It's called the Office of Public Guardian. The Office of Public Guardian is there designed to take care of people who cannot take care of themselves. Okay. So let's say your neighbor across the street, you've known her forever. You'd see her sweeping the floors and everything, breaking the leaves. And then a couple of days you don't see her. So you go knock on her door and say, hey, Mrs. Smith, are you okay? And you don't hear anything. You hear the TV on, you see her car home, you know she's home, but she's not responding. You know she's living alone, her kids live in a different state, you're concerned. What do? Well, you call the police. Say, hey, I think there might be a problem here. The police or the sheriff's going to come, and they're going to break her door down to get to her. Almost all the time, she's on the ground. Some of the time, she's expired because she was left alone and something bad happened, and it was really unfortunate. Well, about 10 years ago, we started serving the Office of Public Guardian. And these are folks that have to come in and help this person. So continue with that story. Let's say she's surviving, right? The police get there, they're gonna call the ambulance. Ambulance is gonna take them to the hospital. The hospital wants to release them. Well, before they release them, the case manager is looking for a guardian, somebody that can be responsible for this individual. Well, if there is no guardian, they're gonna call the state Office of Public Guardian. There's a counselor that will come to the hospital. They're gonna say, okay, well, there's nobody that we can find. You have no next of kin or nobody that can help. They then become the guardian. The guardian is responsible for their health and medical affairs. And then they're gonna go to a judge and they're gonna assign a conservator. A conservator takes care of their legal and financial affairs. At that point in time, once a conservator is selected, there's a good chance that that person will not be making decisions on their own. Because they've proven to the state they can't take care of themselves. There's evidence of that. And that person will no longer be able to make decisions on it. That's the reactive person. And it's really unfortunate. In our small state, we have 1 million people here. They probably get, I think, 10 to 15 cases a week, just like this. Now, know that oftentimes they're going to put them in a care home, and that care home could cost $10,000 a month. And you know this person doesn't have a lot of cash, so what has to happen? They got to sell their house. So they call us. Mm-hmm. They call us because we're the one-stop shop. We're the complete solution. So we go in, we assess the situation with the attorney, the conservator. We look through the personal belongings, anything of value. We make sure it goes to the client. After that, we declare it, clear everything out, and sell it. And we got these cases all the time.
Wow,
so that's a big referral source.
Let me ask you this. Now, is this you and your team handling this entire matter, or do you outsource help?
No, we do it all.
Yeah. Okay, in-house shop. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we do it all. Well, we built it. Keep in mind, we've been doing this for 15 years, right?
That's right.
The senior movement, 10 years ago, we've helped over, I think, 1,200 families do this.
Wow.
A lot, yeah, a lot. So, but if you're starting out, partner with a senior move management company. So if you go to NASM, write this down, NASMN, National Association of Move Managers. There's an entire industry of folks. Every state has them. Some have lots of them, some have very little, but they're there. And they have to be insured and bonded to be approved within the association. So we were the first one of its kind in the state of Hawaii. To this point, there are none that are part of the association other than us. But many states have many of them. They're typically a mom and pop operation that goes in and helps with the processing, sorting, decluttering, detaching from their items, and then clearing it out. So that's the first solution that we had to create to be the complete solution.
Wow.
The biggest problems are stuff.
Of course. How do you go and position yourself as an expert to all these organizations? Because clearly you're the real estate expert, but it's a whole operation. You know, you need trusted partners, and they need to support your cause and be there when you need them. Of course, OPG is one of them, right? Senior Association you just mentioned is one. So who are those other crucial partners, and how do you build their trust?
So good question. So when I started, I made a list of all the trust advisors, trust companies, trust officers. I made all the list of all the financial planners, the private bankers, anybody that deals with the wealthy, CPAs. So if you think about it, and Gary always talks about a bullseye, right? You know, he draws a circle and say, what's the bullseye? Well, the bullseye is a wealthy older adult. See, the wealthy older adult has real estate, right? And if you focused on that market and you provide a solution for that market, then that market will see you as the expert. And so once you gather this information, you can deliver it in an intelligent manner. Again, our program does it for you essentially, because we have all the slides for it. And then you go, let's say, Lana, you go to make a list of all the financial planners. You start with the ones that you know the most, right? easiest, right? And you go say, hey, I started this program. We're helping seniors out. Here's the solution. And the problem is, Mr. Financial Planner, question is, do you have any older adults that sometimes they come to you and their home doesn't fit them anywhere? Oh yeah, that happens all the time. Yeah, what do you do? I said, I don't know. I say, I don't know. I don't have a solution for it. So, well, what if this? What if we partnered with you to deliver a message to your client base, your database, right? And we shared all of these things that matter most to them, meaning where they're at now, the challenges they have, the solutions to those challenges, and how we help them through the process all the way to the end goal. Would that be helpful for you? I said, absolutely. So I started doing it for all of their clients. So imagine this. Like Costco, you've got a membership, right? Gary always talks about how do you build a membership? The membership is somebody else's database. What if you could get into the wealthiest database in your market, right? We did for, gosh, I think 2.5, 3 years. There was a bank here not too far from my house that we partnered with because we found somebody that knew somebody that could make a decision, that we did seminars there, right? And we did three every week. We did a seminar there. Here's a cool thing though, is it was emailed through their database. It was emailed, they provided a solution to their database that nobody else could provide. So I don't know, is it 40, 50,000 people, right? That get this email every week. It's in their bank, these free classes that come out. They don't have my name on it, and I don't really want that because it's all about education, right? They can't take sides because they know a lot of realtors, but it's about education, right? Education and an opportunity at the end for them to book an appointment. The goal is to get, we were at a point, not with COVID, but prior to that, about 15 to 20% conversion ratio from the number of groups that show up to the number of appointments that we get. Now imagine this, they're sitting in a room for about an hour, hour and a half. We're sharing all this information for us. That's the interview. They just interviewed us.
Yeah.
So when they call, it's all about timing because they know everything about our solution. And they subscribe to it because they said, I need help. I like this. Can you help me? And when we get to the appointments, it's all about timing and calendar. So it's imagine doing a group listing a presentation to 20 to 30 people.
Wow. This is fantastic. This is fantastic. Now, when you get a prospect, right? Usually, of course, before prior COVID times, we will go to the listing appointment and sit down with this person. That appointment, because you're speaking with the elderly, it's probably going to take much longer. Now, what are your initial points of contact now? Probably interview via Zoom or a phone call with the seller or their children. And how do you keep in touch up to the closing? What are your point of touches there?
From
you got the listing appointment and you had that first meeting and maybe they're not ready to move yet, but they may be ready in a year. How do you keep in touch with them so they don't lose sight of you?
Oh, emails, phone calls, text.
Emails, phone calls, text.
Mostly emails and phone calls. So they're going to get a call from us anywhere from 2 to 3 months, every 2 to 3 months. Because see, here's when they come to the seminar, they say, oh, that sounds great. I'm not ready. That's a nurture, right? We value nurtures. So we feed the database, right? Right now, I think right now we have like 21,000 in our database. Right?
Wow.
From all the open houses and from all the seminars we've done, we collect data, right? And so we have inside sales, they call these people. It's a matter of timing, right? You just never know when something's going to happen. You never know when someone's going to fall down or somebody passes away. So we call them every 2 to 3 months, just say, hey, just checking in. I know you came to our seminar. Did anything change in your life that we should know about? Is there any problems or challenges you might have regarding real estate that we can serve you with? No worries. Okay, I'll call back in the next 3 months, just see how you're doing. They really, really appreciate that. Right? See, we're not selling anything. We're coming for contribution. We're coming from curiosity. We're not selling anything. We're not saying you guys said, no, we care. We want to know what you're dealing with and how we can serve you.
Okay. Wow. Very well done. So here's a question. For example, let's say if you get a great prospect who's selling and he wants to downsize, right? He just instead of a 2-bedroom, 2-story, he wants a small little ranch. Would you be the party handling both transactions, or will you split it out?
our buyer's team would handle the buy side. The listing team handles the list side.
Okay.
So structurally wise, the way we operate a little different from most. I'm the strategist, right? I'm the listing specialist. They call me and I create the strategy. Then once they sign the agreement, then we have a listing manager that takes it from agreement to offers. And he does everything in the middle, getting the house ready. Now, most of these homes need a lot of work, right? So we manage the vendors. And that's another value proposition that we have that most don't do is we can solve any problem on a piece of real estate. It doesn't matter if it's a swimming pool, a roof, a small window, it doesn't matter. We can solve it. And that's what people want, right? Because they're older, they don't know how to solve it. They don't know who to trust, how much it should cost. So the listing manager takes care of that. His job is to procure an offer the seller will be excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get that offer comes in, then we have a chief negotiator. And he takes it from contract to close. But he negotiates every part of the process, which is he's holding the client's hand all the way.
Wow.
We have 18 of them right now that he's working on. He's busy. And he's negotiating all those. We still have a transaction coordinator that coordinates the details. But somebody has to have a conversation with the seller. Somebody has to have a conversation with the buyer's agent. That's the chief negotiator. On our team, we were blessed to hire a young man, Kaleo, that is an amazing young man. He's an attorney, a licensed attorney, and really smart. Just everybody loves him, right? And he's probably done close to 300 of these in the last 3 years. Yeah. He's really knocked it out, and people are constantly rave about his level of service and care and compassion. So that's kind of the operation that we have. Then on the buy side, we have buyer's agents that would take the buyer. We introduce them all at the same time, and then the buyer takes them to help them on the buy side.
Dan, do you also host estate sales for your clients, or do you outsource that?
We usually don't. See, unfortunately, because we're the most remote place on the planet, Hawaii, you can't just ship it across state lines, right? Somebody can't drive here to get it. And so the market's really tight. It's hard to sell things here because you have 1 million people and they've got a lot of homes that a lot of people are selling stuff. So as far regarding selling things, it really has to go into the highest value, right? The highest value will be for the most part. And we have specialists in that area, jewelry and artwork. Other than that, most of it, electronics, you can't even donate anymore. Right? It's obsolete. China, you can't really sell China. Nobody wants to buy it today. Only people who want to buy it is they have it. Right? So yeah, not so much on that side. We do from time to time do some sales, meaning like the estate sale type. We don't recommend it though, because the cost of doing it is so high that their net proceeds really isn't worth it for anybody.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. So we have actually 33 participants on Zoom with us right now, and there's even more people probably watching online. Friends, if you have any questions, can you please put your questions in the comments? I'm gonna read it out to Mr. Dan. But I want to ask you 2 more questions, sir.
Sure.
I do know you work closely with your wife. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I have to ask you because I work with my spouse as well, and sometimes it's a little butting heads. So hey, you know what I'm talking about. So what's the secret to that? What's the secret to a partnership and still have a great marriage?
Ooh, I was going to ask you that question.
Stop it.
No, I love my wife. She's amazing. She's the biggest support. She's my best mirror, because I fail so much that she's the one that brings it to light. I think we've been doing this for 15 years together. And I think what it was is creating a clarity on role, right? I don't play in her sandbox. She doesn't play in my sandbox. The times of dispute is when we're playing each other's sandbox, right? And so we have to respect each other's sandbox. We can have conversations around what their sandbox looks like. The other thing that I found to be most successful is we need to talk every day about our business. So every morning now we have a 15-minute huddle, and she knows a lot about what I do because I'm in the front end. I don't know what she's doing on the back end. So our 15 minutes is really about, tell me what's going on in your day today. and how can I help you? Because she's always helping me, but I don't know how to help her, right? And that really helped us to understand how do we support each other, because she sees my world so clearly, but I don't see her world. And therefore, I can't have empathy over that world. I can't support it until I know what it looks like. And that's something, honestly, we started like a couple months ago. And it was my ahas, because she's always we always talk about my day, about what I'm doing. And I never stopped to ask her about her day and what she's doing and how that intertwines with my day, right? How do we, I mean, obviously we're not totally independent, we're independent, right? So how do we support each other? And I think that was the biggest solution for us. Again, it's not perfect yet. Hey, we're still married. 30 years.
30 years, going strong.
Last year was 30 years.
Sir, you just mentioned don't play in each other's sandbox, and this is huge. May I ask you what is your role on a team, or what is her role on the team?
So I'm the front end of the funnel. My job is listings, pretty much listings. I do help some of the buyers. I create strategy and systems around those listings. I set high expectations of standards of how we deliver service parts of the company. She does the financial side. She takes care of human resources and the most important areas, but now she's also helping in the buyer side, right? And so that's where we both kind of, that sandbox is shared, right? Mostly with her, and that's why we have these conversations, because I need to know how to support her on the buy side as well, okay? Because she has so many hats on. Again, we're part of 7 different businesses, and she's running around crazy while she allows me to stay focused on what matters most, getting those listings.
No, this is amazing. I'm so inspired, and I'm actually looking forward to meeting you both, hopefully at the next mega camp or family reunion, which happens. But sir, one thing that we did not touch on, I know you have founded your own nonprofit, Silver Spoons. Is that correct?
Yes.
Will you please share with us a little bit so we can get inspired?
You know, in one of our masterminds with Gary, and this is about probably 4 years ago, Gary said to us, he pointed his finger at all of us. There was 100 of us in the room. He said, all of you guys need to donate $1 million. You need to build a nonprofit because money is good for the good it does. And so I challenge you to give $1 million. Don't make $1 million, give $1 million. Right? And it was a real eye opener. I came back home that trip and we said, you know, our market's always been to serve the older adult, but there's a lot of older adults without means. We serve the wealthy. So what about their relatives, their classmates that are not wealthy? And who's helping them? Because, you know, there are 16,000 older adults living in state housing today here on our island. And if they are of danger to themselves, meaning it's not safe, it's a hoarder, they're a problem to others, they're going to kick them out. Where does an 85-year-old lady who's in state housing and has no income, where does she go? She goes to the street. So we offered to help this demographic. And so we reached out to the state, and the state now calls us. They say, hey, you need to come and help this person because if not, I got to kick them out. And so we go to help them. So we put 10% of all of our proceeds from all of our for-profit entities into a nonprofit, and that serves and funds these folks. And honestly, it's the hardest job we have.
Wow.
It's the hardest job. Right now, the way we're doing it is really from volunteers and my family. You know, we have 3 boys, how to serve, and they're the ones going into these environments, and it's nasty. I mean, it's the lens that you see the world from, because not everybody lives like us.
Of course.
And it's really, really hard to do, yet it's so gratifying. It feels so good to see somebody in a better environment than they were before. Incredible. So yeah, we've been doing that. Unfortunately, we can't serve that many. We've only served a couple every year. Our goal is to help hundreds every year. And as we grow, our intention is to make that a robust solution for this demographic.
Wow. Wow. This is a really noble cause. And thank you for being you. And thank you for being a amazing contributing leader to our society, and I know your clients and your team is probably loves you and gets so inspired from you. This is fantastic. Like I don't know about you, friends, but I took notes and I took more notes here, and I'm actually gonna share some notes at my team meeting this particular. Yes, sir.
I have one more area that we serve that's really important is, so these older adults, they also have other real estate, right? They have investment properties, right? So in our market, a lot of them have apartment buildings, they've got other homes, they built wealth, they bought it a long time ago, and now they don't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. So the question is, have you ever heard of a family that after mom and dad died, the family fought over real estate?
Yep.
It happens all the time, right?
All the time.
It happens more on the wealthy. So how do you solve that problem? And why does it exist? Well, I tell you, it exists because they're smart, right? They buy their investment properties, it makes money, they get older, they don't want to deal with it, yet they still own it. And their thought is, don't worry about it, it's in the trust and it's safe. Mm-hmm. Really true. It's safe from probate. Yep. It's not safe from your family. See, because if there's no clear plan of what to do at the end, who's going to decide that? And how many decision makers are there? And do they have the same agenda? Absolutely not. Because if you leave your properties to your kids, you're saying to your kids, I want you to be in business together. Mm-hmm. So I asked older adults, let me ask you this, would you want your kids to be in business together? Oh, no, they don't see things. Absolutely. So what's your plan? So I don't have a plan. They'll deal with it later. Well, do you want your kids to love each other after you're gone or fight after you're gone? Well, I want them to love each other. Okay, so you're creating an environment such that that might not happen. That might not happen. And I can tell you that I get calls practically every week from somebody who's got a situation that's caused a problem. Just yesterday at an open house, I met a guy. He's got three apartment buildings, anywhere from $3 million to $5 million, and he's got 6 siblings. His mom passed away. Dad's he's the trustee. Right? Dad's going to pass away soon. What's going to happen then? Well, as a trustee, he's instructed to follow the instructions of the trust. Put it up. But what if there's no conversation around it? What's going to happen? Well, I can tell you his conversation to me yesterday was, we're going to fight. And already we don't agree. I said, so why don't we get together? We can create a strategy for you. We'll talk about what the options are, and we can create a strategy. So let's just make this simple. Let's say your mom owns a $1 million asset, right? And you have three children, right? You and 2 siblings, okay? So obviously you can't split the $1 million asset. It's impossible. At the end, what happens? It's got to be sold. It's got to be separated in cash. But what if one of them doesn't agree? What if you're the trustee that says, I got to sell it? The other one says, no, I have an emotional attachment to it. Don't do that. But I can't buy it out, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Or, no, now's not the right time. The market's bad, right? The market will get better later. What happens? You have a dispute. So what if we had a conversation with your mom and said, hey, Mom, what if we planned this out to create a legacy, right? What if we sold the $1 million asset, we bought 3 assets of equal value or close to equal value? You can do a 1031 exchange. Sell it while mom's alive. Now the kids can now predetermine their inheritance. It still belongs to mom, but if now you have 3 separate assets, the large sale doesn't have to take place anymore. When mom passes away, the trust says it's going to each of the 3 children, no problem. The beautiful thing about this, we just did this for a family of 3, and she's raving about it, this strategy that we created for them, because we helped her create generational wealth. See, the reason is those kids, they need a place to live, or they want some money, right? And they don't get along. Mm-hmm. So if you leave one asset to make the unified decision, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Of course. And
you never want that to happen. So we said to her, what if you could create a legacy while you're alive? Your kids can be part of the solution. The kids you'll see the appreciation that your kids have for you and the legacy that was brought to you, and say thank you to you, not when the cast is closed, but while you're alive.
Yeah.
And what happened at the end, that there's no dispute. They've already predetermined their inheritance. And the beautiful thing about this, as a realtor, That's 4 transactions. That's 4 transactions.
4 transactions. Now, Dan, when you negotiate this and you try to structure this initial plan, do you simply handle this yourself, or do you bring in a probate attorney or some other legal counsel for that?
Well, there's no probate attorney needed because it won't go to probate. I do have them conversations with the financial planner, sometimes the attorney, but usually I can read the trust document and then talk to the attorney and say, here's the plan. So I get the attorney involved, I get the financial planner involved, and I get the CPA involved. Because it's a 1031 exchange, the CPA has to understand how this works. Not all CPAs understand how a 1031 exchange works. They're not all created equal.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Than anyone in our market. I mean, we do this at all times. We have 1031 exchange at all times. Know that that's multiple transactions. And the beautiful thing about this, guys, is we now live and work in an environment such that we have the largest network available to mankind. Keller Williams.
Keller Williams. Well, yeah. And, you know, you and I are blessed to be part of Keller Williams family. I actually just joined last year, so I'm a newbie, and it finally feels like home. But I know a lot of our dear audience is also from different brokerages. And I can guarantee you that after watching or rewatching this particular episode, they're going to have questions. They want to get in touch with you. I know Complete Solutions. So that's a coaching system. Can they go on a website and kind of explore the material there? Can they reach out to you directly? What's the best way to continue communication with Dan?
Well, remember, you can, if you want to just do it on your own, thecompletesolutionusa.com, thecompletesolutionusa.com. You can go to our Facebook page, the Ihara team. You can go to my personal Facebook page. You can go to our website. All of that, or just pick up the phone and call me. You know, we'd have to put you on the calendar. I live my life off of the calendar. So, you know, if you send me something today, maybe within the next week or so, we can get on a structured conversation. And what I'd like to know is the questions that you have. We'll be happy to answer those.
Wow, Dan, you're such an inspiration and you're epitome of knowledge. I connected with you on Facebook. Hey, I'm staying in touch. Maybe someday I'll come see you in Hawaii.
Yeah,
and
please do.
Dan, thank you so much for your time. For our dear audience, thank you guys for tuning in. Dan Ihara out of beautiful Hawaii, your new referral source. And you all have a fantastic week, and we'll talk to you soon, guys. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Aloha.
Hello.